Hello everyone, it is Melinda J and welcome back to my channel. I am here to do a review for episode 3 of the Bridgerton series on Netflix. And I'm gonna tell you all ahead of time, this will be a long video because there is a lot to unpack and there is definitely opportunity to learn from this lesson. Why? Because this was one of my favorite episodes out of this series. However, it was one of the most gut-wrenching episode from this season alone. So without further ado, before I get into the meat and potatoes of the review, I would like for you all to go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't done so already, and comment down below new subby so I can shout you out and show my gratitude for you, as well as liking the video, whether it's now or towards the end of the video or the middle of the video. It doesn't matter, it's up to you. And come on, just hit the like button for me because it helps me to push my channel and my content throughout the algorithm. I know y'all tired of hearing the A word algorithm so much, but it really does play prevalent to a content creator when it comes to sending out the content to people that want to look for good content to listen and watch. All right, and also hit that notification bell if you haven't done so already, so you'll know the next time I upload a video. All right, so of course, how I do my recaps on series or television shows as well as movies that I've watched, I would get the highlights that stuck out to me, as well as providing teachable moments, as well as opportunity to learn from what has been shown to us for us to view as an audience. Okay, so without further ado, let's get into the review part, the highlights. So this episode is called A Bee in Your Bonnet, and it starts out with the father, and his name is Viscount. He was the 8th Viscount, but his name as well as title is Viscount Edmund Bridgerton. And I just realized the mother Viscount, so her name is Viscountess Violet Bridgerton. And yes, this scene starts with him, the father Bridgerton, as well as Anthony Bridgerton, the Viscount in waiting. They're hunting. I'm pretty sure they're hunting to provide food for the family to eat. So definitely it was towards the fall, because that usually when hunting season starts is towards the fall. If I'm not mistaken, comment down below if I'm mistaken that, but that's usually when it happens. But yes, he was teaching his son how to hunt, because whenever he passes away, of course, the son will be the next Viscount and head a household, as well as being the person to provide for the family. So he had to learn hunting and getting the food. He had to learn hunting in order to provide the food for the family, especially the meat portion. And from the and after Anthony couldn't get it, because as we've known Anthony so far, he is a stern individual. But with this episode, it definitely explains why he is the way he is. So before this incident happened, he meaning Anthony, he was a gentle soul as well. And he was also a funny, and he was a livable individual that loved cracking jokes and smiling and all sorts of things. Like, he had that vibrant personality. So due to the fact that he wasn't able to get it at that time when he was being taught by his dad to hunt, that's when his father took the reins and showed him how it's done, and he was able to get the deer that was present to be taken out so the family can eat. All right. So after that was done, that's when his father was teaching him about confidence. And what he was saying, that, let's see. Here it is right here. I have it on two separate, y'all, I have it on two separate tablets because one is the highlights and the other one is the teachable moment concept. But during this first part, he teaches his son that, in order to, when you're in love with someone or when you're in a relationship with someone, you cannot show them your best without showing them your worst. As well as while they were hunting, not only to don't be too hard on yourself, but also have confidence in order to do what needs to be done so you can put food on the table for your family. So that's when, after he had shot down the animal, and of course they walked towards Aubrey Hall. I believe Aubrey Hall is their second house. Now it's considered their second house, but I think before then that was their main house before they are in a house in the city. So they have a house in the city and they have a house in the country. So during that time, they were in the country. They were living in the country, and of course, him and the father were walking, and he was explaining to him, like, one day you're gonna have to take over the reins, and of course, you want to be able to show your partner all sides of you, because if they don't know all sides of you, the good, the bad, and the ugly, then that's not really love. That's just tolerating the person. And you really want to be in love with the person, so you won't be miserable the rest of your life. So, oh my gosh, this was really hard, because especially watching it for the second time. So of course, the father was picking his favorite flower, which is lilacs, from the garden. And he noticed a bee, and he was trying to swipe it away. Really, whenever you come across a bee, you have to stand still so the bee can just fly away. However, he didn't do that. The father was just wiping the bee away. But once you do that with a bee, it's gonna come at you, and because they're acting in defense mode, and that's what led to the bee to sting him in the neck portion. And this is when he realized, I don't think he realized that he was allergic to bees. I really do think that the sting was just, hey, shake it off thing. But I don't think the father realized that he was allergic to bees, because if he was allergic to bees, he would have been able to maneuver. This was before, high-tech medicine and all that. But I don't think he realized he was allergic to bees, because after he got stung, that's when he turned around towards his son like, please help me. I can't breathe. I cannot breathe. Because that was a very traumatic scene that happened. And the look on Anthony's face was like in despair, like, oh my gosh, no, this cannot happen right now. I need my father. Of course, along with the 6 brothers and sisters at the time, because the Viscountess, she was pregnant with the 8th child. Again, I commend all the ladies who had 4+ children back then, because the body of a woman nowadays cannot bear that many children. it cannot bury that many children because of how we consume food and the lifestyles and stuff like that. So I have to commend all the women back then who had 4+ children. Of course, I commend all women who have children and have adopted children. But oh my gosh, just to hear the children count of the ladies back then, it's just like, how do they do it? Because I know I can recall my mom saying my grandmother had one of her siblings in the kitchen, and then about a couple minutes later, she was back there doing cleaning the house. So I'm like, what? Say that again. So the bodies then and the bodies now of women, totally different, and the woman's body is definitely complex at its finest. But them women back then, they were able to bury as many children as possible, and I definitely had to commend them that. Okay. But that's when that scene happened of Anthony trying to, make sure his father was, breathing, stuff like that. That's when the Viscountess came out screaming, and because that was the love of her life. And you can tell in that scene that was the love of her life. And I can only imagine losing a person while I'm pregnant. Like, the thought process of you trying to maintain a stress-free environment, and for this traumatic event to happen, it can weigh on a woman's it could weigh on a woman's mental and physical and mental well-being because of this traumatic experience. And of course, whenever you're pregnant, you have to be careful of your surroundings when it comes to carrying a child, because as you're soaking up energy, your child is soaking up energy as well. And of course, to some aspects of you carrying that child can carry on into that child when that child appears in the physical form. So this scene right here, I was very shaken up. I was traumatized along with Anthony, but you can tell after his mother said, "Go," like in despair because of this event happening and the father passing the way he did. It was like, now you see why Anthony is the way he is, because of that traumatic event. All that fun, lively stuff, joking around, smiling, being the kid that he is supposed to be at that time, it has quickly went away, all because of that one incident that happened. Now the wall is built up from top to bottom. And that's why, and that explains why he said what he said to his guys at the ball, that Miss Sharman had overheard of him saying, "I am just basically searching for an amicable partner and that can fulfill her wifely duties and not even worry about the love part, because I can't take the heartbreak from losing someone." So that's a very prevalent, teachable and life lesson moment, is dealing with the death of a loved one and how that can change your demeanor just by how the person passes away, and also how that plays into effect on down the line, especially when you haven't processed the grief that has transpired. So I definitely felt sorry for the Viscount Anthony because of that traumatic event that happened, and that plays into PTSD, or a traumatic event that has transpired. And it's just some triggers that, of course, the triggers from that event can seep through life experiences and encounter as you progress on into your life if you have not healed from it. So again, this is going to be a long video, so just stick with me and learn with me, because we all learning together. And of course, as I said, these are as much as we like to view content, there are hidden messages in between of the content that we see. Okay, and I'm here to teach you all the perspective and the learning lessons that we can get from consuming the content that we have. Okay, so after that flashback, because it was a flashback scene, because it's going to explain again how Anthony reacts in his day-to-day life based on a traumatic experience. Okay, so after that scene had ended, it reels back to the present moment of the Sharmas and Lady D, because he did invite the ladies to come to Aubrey Hall to for tea and conversing with the family and getting to know each other. So the Sharmas and Lady D visits the Bridgertons at Aubrey Hall, and this is the time where a proposal is going to be expected, because due to the fact he is stern about getting a lady to be betrothed. He is dead set on proposing to a lady that is eligible and fits his criteria, so he can continue on his duties as Viscount of the household. And at the same time, there's another split scene of the of Lady Portia Featherington, the mom of the Featherington household. She is trying to set up Prudence, which is her second eldest child, with the recent Lord Featherington, because of the fact, even though they are fourth cousins, y'all, she is trying to sell her second eldest daughter, because her first eldest, Philippa, she's already married now, but she's trying to set her next daughter in line, Prudence, up with her fourth cousin, because she is trying to maintain the wealth of the family of the Featherington household, and she doesn't want another lady to stand in the way of the Featherington household, because if Jack was to marry another woman that is not a Featherington, I don't what okay if he was to marry someone else, that means Portia, Prudence, and Penelope will have to move out of the house, and because that lady that has been married to Lord Featherington, the recent one, Jack, she is the new lady of the household. So Miss Portia, she was trying to do whatever is necessary for her girls to stay in the house and not be kicked out because of Jack marrying someone else, for the lady to move in and kick all of them out, possessions and all. So yeah, I thought that was weird. That is incest at its finest. And then also along the way, now we're going back to the families meeting together, the Sharmas and the Bridgertons. Lady D finally sees her great godson, which is Miss Duchess Daphne Hastings' son. Okay, because of the fact she is married to Lady D's godson, which is godson, which is the Duke of Hastings. I hope he comes back, y'all. The Duke of Hastings was a force to be reckoned with in the last season. I really hope he comes back, y'all. Even if it's just a peak of a moment. It's just the way he shook up the first season and the Diamond season with Daphne. whole nother level. I really hope he comment down below if you want to see the Duke of Hastings make his presence back on the show, even if it's just a little cameo. I just need to see his face, okay? But yes, let's see. Okay, so those were the highlights that I've seen so far from episode 3. Now I'm going to transition over to the teachable moments that also feeds into some of the highlights that I've just stated, and then of course there are going to be some more highlights as I pinpoint all the teachable moments and opportunities to learn from what has transpired in the 3rd episode. All right. So due to the fact that his father has passed, right? The Viscount Bridgerton, Mr. Viscount Edward Bridgerton, the 8th Viscount, due to his passing, now it is the transition of Anthony, who is the eldest son. I thought Benedict was the eldest son, but I was wrong. Just based off the first season and how Benedict was acting, I thought Benedict was the eldest brother, but he's the 2nd eldest. Yikes. Okay. So yes, due to the fact that the father has passed, now Anthony is next in line as being the new Viscount. Now, I'm just gonna put a pin right there. Now, if the Viscount would have passed away, which is Anthony, if he would have passed away from the first season due to the duel session with the Duke of Hastings from catching his sister kissing the Duke of Hastings in the gardens, if he would have passed away, then of course Benedict would have been the next one in line to be the next Viscount. So I'm kind of glad that Anthony is still living and progressing, because that would have been very detrimental of losing the current Viscount Anthony to a duality shootout from the Duke of Hastings. So that would have been very detrimental, y'all. So yeah. All right. Switch on back to the 3rd episode, teachable moments. Now, the transition. Though this is an opportunity to learn as well as a teachable moment. All right. So the transition is happening, as well as the mother, since the mother is still in despair over the passing of her husband, that leads her to a premature birth. I'm assuming this led to a premature birth because the baby is breached while this is happening, and as she is in despair, and the nurses and the doulas, the staff, they're trying to calm her down, but she's still grieving from the passing of her husband, the love of her life, as well as on the other end, you have Anthony, who still has not processed the grieving and the passing of his father, and the staff is ordered, because this is already set in stone, y'all. The staff is ordered to remove all the belongings from the parents' room, the mother and the previous Viscount that just passed away, for Anthony to move into the Viscount suites, because he is the new head of household now. And of course, so Anthony, not only he is encountering PTSD from the passing of his father, now he is there's a transitioning going on in the household of the staff removing the items from their parents' bedroom to another room, and he takes over their bedroom as the new Viscount, as well as getting the keys to his father's office so he can review and progress with viewing the accounts. He has not processed the grief yet, any feelings at all because he is still in shock. And now on top of that, he has to make a decision on whether on the birthing process. All this is happening. 5 things and more are happening at one time. And I can only imagine what his head, and there's a little emphasis of what he is thinking right now of this is happening. And of course, he is definitely suffering from the eldest syndrome. And as the transitioning and all these things are happening, it clicks in my mind of what had happened in the movie Encanto, where Luisa, that's her name. Luisa is the eldest, and she is metaphorically the strongest physically and mentally of the family, and she has to live through the surface pressures of making sure everything, especially foundation heavy wise, is secure. Like, she is the person in charge of if a mule needs to be relocated because they came out of the pasture and so forth and so on. If a house is crooked, then she can do with the slap of the shoulder towards the building to realign that building. It was given Louisa from Encanto for me when it came to Anthony, and all this stuff is happening in the midst of him trying to process what has transpired earlier that day. And then of course it's raining at the same time. So raining in the archetypal form is a form of sorrow and cleansing. And not only is sorrow and despair from all the tears that are shedding from the Viscountess' eyes from losing her husband, and at the process of her baby being breached, and the doctors have to seek the lordship's confirmation on what he should do, because now Anthony is in charge. He has to make a decision on whether the baby stays and the mother leaves, or the mother stays and the baby leaves. He has to make all these decisions, and this is all happening that same day. I'm assuming all this is happening at the same day. But as I said, the archetype of reigning aspect when it comes to cinema is sorrow, grief, as well as cleansing. Is the transitioning is happening. So it's cleansing all the energies, all the memories that has transpired over that household, and it's making new for a person in waiting to take upon the duty of the family. So this is all going on in one scene, and I'm like, what the crap? What? He is definitely having the eldest syndrome, and I relate to Anthony. This is when I grew a liking to Anthony as starting to be one of my favorite characters, as being relatable to being the eldest of the household. Now you are in charge of the household, especially when you either have one of the parents or none of the parents at all. It's just the duty of an eldest child. You have to uphold a certain standard for not only yourself, but you have to be the example for your younger siblings, and of course teach them things that they can avoid, all sorts of things. You're basically another parent to the siblings, except the difference between you and the siblings, you are the head of the household. So I can definitely relate to Anthony in that capacity of having to make decisions and having to be that role model, as well as that parental figure for the other for your siblings, because they need a parental guidance along the way so they can become model citizens. And due to the fact that he had 7 other brothers and sisters at the time, that's a whole tribe in itself. So comment down below if you the eldest of your siblings and how you relate to Anthony. I want to know your opinions because I get it. I totally get it. But another thing, while this birthing process is happening, this premature labor and birthing process is happening to the Viscountess due to the fact of the loss of her husband. The baby is breached. So during that time, there was no modern medicine to where we're able to get what we get now with the latest technology, doing an emergency C-section and being able to live past it. These women back then, they, especially if you were in a position, but I'm pretty sure the man of the household, of course, this plays prevalent on a woman and her body. The fact that she had no control of what her outcome is because she had to get permission from either her husband at the time or permission from her now eldest son, that is the Viscount, that is the head of household now, on deciding whether she keeps her baby or not, or whether she stays on this physical earth or not. Because switch over to the first season, that's exactly what happened with the Duke of Hastings' mother. She passed because of some complications, or she may have passed due to the fact that she was a black lady. Now, hello. And due to the fact that in medicine it's typically formed that black women are more prone to pain and than other races, and I feel like that needs to draw the line. We are all the same individual far as like blood shedding. Okay, we all bleed the same, so please apply that same energy and into other people's well-being. And she was the Duchess at the time of the household. So yes, just switching over from the Duke and the Duchess of Hastings and their childbirth of bringing the Duke of the recent Duke of Hastings compared to this childbirth of the last child, who is Hyacinth, the youngest daughter. Yeah, like the fact that again, that's that PTSD effect that is happening to Anthony, because he has to make a decision on whether, to keep the child and let the mother perish, or vice versa. So this is where I really just grew to liking Anthony now, because at that moment, even if he was still under pressure and the doctor was telling him, it's your lordship to make the decision, I am so glad he said, let her do what she wants. Let her have it. Let her do what she wants. Let her determine the outcome, because I'm pretty sure she wanted to not only keep herself, but also the baby. So and as he said, that the doctor said, we'll do what we can to save both of them. And I'm grateful and I'm glad that the doctor was able to save both of them. And I had to commend Mrs. Violet Bridgerton, Viscountess Bridgerton, on doing her thing, even though she was in despair during that time. But that decision and that process, that birthing process, that still plays prevalent today in today's society, because of the fact of the matter, when there is trouble alert when it comes to a baby coming upon this earth, sometimes decisions need to be made. And even though people say marriage is just a piece of paper, with medical, it is important. So if you're not married to the person, they are going to look for the next kin and waiting and counting. They're not even going to be looking at the partner they're not even going to go towards that partner, because you're not in kinship for one thing, and you're not married to the person. So I highly advise y'all, this is a teachable moment and a lesson to learn when it comes to this. If you are not married to the person that you are with, or if you plan on spending the rest of your life with the person, just know you need to have some paperwork in black and white form to let these folks know that these people can make the decision based on my well-being if something happens, because if not, they are going to go to the next kinship. They are not going to look for the girlfriend, the side piece, and all the other stuff. They are going to be looking for the spouse who is legally and bind married to that individual. So it is, of course, if you are going to the doctor, or if something happens to you while you are in the hospital, it is prevalent to have your stuff lined up. Okay, I cannot stress this enough. I've seen this time and time again in my family when they have passed along, where people think that since they've been with that person so long, they are entitled to things. And no, they are not, especially if you're not legally and bind married, or if your name is not in the paperwork. So I highly, when you are into a relationship with somebody, I highly recommend you all to reconsider and reevaluate on whether you want to spend the rest of your life with that person. Because if not, then you are going to be in trouble when it comes to getting sick. And God forbid that happening, but I have seen it so many times, time and time again, people being entitled to make a decision based on you not being married to that person. So again, just as much as y'all say marriage is just a piece of paper, marriage is a business transaction. Yes, it's a business transaction, very well so. However, when it comes to making those life decisions, life or death decisions, you need to rethink that, okay? And that is a teachable moment, and that is an opportunity to learn to get your house in order, okay? Period. Okay? And I'll do and let me know in the comment section below if you want me to do a separate video on that. I will gladly do it. All right? Okay, so next, along with the episode, even though they are now switch over of the families playing Pall Mall. Pall Mall is like the equivalent of putt-putting, golfing. So I'm pretty sure this was like golfing in those days before golfing became a thing, because Pall Mall is just like that. Except they don't have holes to do it. They have little yard stickers to go by on navigating. And at the same time, you can set the course on how you want to. So that's what Pall Mall is. If y'all don't know what that is, I just, in my point of view, is just the equivalent of putt-putting and golf. The only difference is that you can create the course on how you want to maneuver in the game. All right. And then also along the visit of the families bonding, the Sharmas and the Bridgertons, the Duchess Daphne, she had mentioned she was plugging a little ear with the Viscount explaining the feelings. Okay, the feelings, because again, even though the Viscount had previously stated before that he wants just an applicable partner that will fulfill the wifely duties and not worry about love, Daphne is saying otherwise, like you need to rethink that. And his mother also told him that you need to rethink that option, because you're going to be living your life in despair and regretful when you do that, because again, he's trying to avoid the heartbreak of him losing his father at a young age, as well as the despair and the heartbreak that his mother had endured of losing her husband. So hold on, tea break. So he wants to avoid heartbreak at all costs. And he's treating the marriage as a business transaction. He's not looking at for it as in the long run. But I like how she explained feelings, having feelings for the person, meaning it's like one makes it impossible for you to look away from them, and having that feeling like having butterflies in your stomach, that is symbolic of true love and admiration. It's not necessarily lust. Lust is a completely different thing, because lust can turn into something very detrimental. So having that feeling, that gut feeling, the butterflies in your stomach, that's more of a love thing than a lust thing. It just depends on how you view it. But I like how she explained, when it comes to finding a person to marry and to spend the rest of your life with, you want to be able to always have that feeling, or have that feeling most of the time, and not so much of as lust and being emotionally unavailable. So that's how she put the plug on him on that. And then let's see, and then later on the episode, another highlight as well as a teachable moment is after Pall Mall has ended, because Anthony has ended the Pall Mall game when him and Kate were in the forest trying to fetch their balls. Miss Kate, she had of course hit the balls to where the grave was. He knew the grave was there, but she didn't know. So he was like, no, I'm not, the game over with. I don't want to do this right now. And that's what led her to discover the gravesite of the late Viscount. And that really just piqued her interest, like, okay, we're getting there. Like, so she's gonna be the type of person to break down those walls little by little. Compared to Edwina, she's still in that naive behavior of putting all your trust and putting all your trust in one individual. She's still in that state. So this is when, after Anthony ends the game and she discovers the gravesite, of course, that's when Eloise had asked, then Kate had went back to the house, and then they switched over to a scene where Eloise had asked Kate about her being content of not being married, and how the world doesn't show favor towards a married woman. And of course, that is definitely a teachable moment. There is definitely a lesson learning on that, because of the fact during that time, when you're not a married woman, it's almost like, okay, what is wrong with you and why you're not married? So those are the main two questions that will be asked upon whenever you're not married to someone, is, okay, so what's wrong with you and why you're not married? You're a beautiful individual, and sometimes you just want to come across the right person and not just want to jump into marriage. So I thought that scene was very prevalent, because there are a lot of women nowadays that, I'm not married yet. I'm gonna say yet, because I am speaking that into existence. I don't want to downplay marriage, because I grew up in a stable environment. My parents, they were married for 31 years. So I do want to get married. I'm the type of individual that will like to get married. So it's just vetting the right person and in the right way, so you can be able to be married. Because nowadays people just jump from relationship and not allowing themselves to heal before they move into a relationship. So that's a lesson to learn. That's an opportunity to learn right there. So And also the fact that, another reason why Kate is not married is due to the fact that she is doing her elder sibling duties into finding a suitor for Edwina, so they can restore the Sheffield reputation, and then she can go on and mind her business. So it's just like, it was a give and take for Kate. She chose what she did, and of course, however, I'm pretty sure she's gonna find love, and you're gonna figure that out once you continue on watching this series, okay? And also towards the end, it addresses postpartum depression by Anthony. It was like a flashback moment of Anthony asking his mother, like, are you gonna come and eat dinner with us? And she is still grieving, because obviously she's wearing black. And I'm not for sure if this was the day that they just recently buried the Viscount that passed, but you can tell that she was still grieving, because this is when she took up embroidery, and embroidery was helping her cope through her grieving, because embroidery takes a lot of patience to create, and it allows you to not only relax your mind, but also process the grief that she has been encountering. And I'm pretty sure back then, I don't know, they had therapists, but that was an outlet for her to recover from what has transpired. So this is when he had mentioned that, you were not present, and I had to take up the responsibility. I mean, rightfully so, because he is the head of the household, but he's still young. But this is when the mother has said, I am doing the best. I'm just doing my best, taking it one day at a time. She had to force herself to go into the nursery, knowingly that the recent baby, Hyacinth, the youngest girl, it will never be able to meet her father, to far as knowing his characteristics, what he likes, what he don't likes. So basic Hyacinth is the only sibling that doesn't know her father at all. She just know what the story, based on the stories that they have told her. The father figure that is present in her life is Anthony. And so this was very prevalent, because you can see the grieving process, and of course this is after she gave birth to Hyacinth. So obviously this was pinpointing the postpartum depression, and how Anthony was trying to get her to come back out and be present along with her children. And in her perspective, she can't do that, because she's still grieving of the loss of her husband, and grieving and forcing herself to continue taking it day by day, doing the best that she can to get over the loss, because of the fact of the matter, she lost the love of her life. And when she has stated that he was all that I know, and I can't live another day without him. Okay, so with this moment, even though she was going through postpartum depression, but you can also tell that she has lost her sense of identity being in that marriage as well, because she is, of course, she was just fulfilling her wifely duties as a Viscountess and as being a mother. And due to the fact that she lost her husband, it was like, dang, it's just like divorcing somebody. You lose yourself in the midst of being in a relationship with somebody, because y'all were partners, y'all did everything together, y'all did everything together, and for that person to be gone, it's just like, what now? She had that thought of what now. So I was like, wow, this is addressing postpartum depression as well as self-identity within a relationship at the same time. So again, that's another teachable moment and lesson to learn. And let's see. And lastly, this is the part where Kate finally gets an idea of, well, she just get a big snippet of why Anthony acts the way he does. Again, she's getting to know him better than Edwina, because let's keep it in mind, she was the one he met first and not Edwina. Okay, so this is towards the end. This is the part where Miss Kate definitely hits a nerve, a trigger for the Viscount, because she is the type of person that goes on her morning runs with her horse, and she had just came back, and of course they were conversing because she saw him in the gardens as she came back with her morning run. And again, while they're in the gardens, a bee appears, and once he saw that bee on her shoulder, he was like, "Don't move." And she's like, "Get your hands off me." And because, I mean, if you're conversing with somebody and they're available or they're not married, it's just like, okay, what are y'all trying to hide? That's creating another scandal. And he was like, no. He was like, "No, stop moving." And I'm holding on to my computer, y'all, just to show y'all the realization of his, of the emphasis of what's happening. And he's like, "No, stop moving." It's just like, can you get your hands off me? Like, somebody's going to see us. And that's when the trigger happens. That bee is triggering what has transpired, that PTSD of what has happened after that caused the death of his father. And she's just looking at him like, breathe. Like, she puts her hand on her heart. She puts her other hand on his heart, telling him to breathe. And he's like, "Stop moving, please." And then that's when she had got stuck. And he was like, "Are you all right? Are you okay, ma'am? Are you all right?" And she's just like, "Oh my gosh, like, what is the problem?" But she slowly realized that she hit a nerve. She hit a trigger, not intentionally, but actually accidentally pointed a trigger. Why? Because that is what led to the death of his father. And he's just trying to prevent anything else, another traumatic event happening. So, again, it addresses, this episode again was my favorite episode because it addresses a lot of issues. It addresses postpartum. It addressed the transition among notable figures, as well as, you know, regular working class people as well. It addresses the birthing process and how decisions are being made when either you are not married or the eldest child as well. And it also gives you the pressures, the surface pressure of being the eldest child and having to fulfill your duties as the parental figure of the household, as well as the family reputation, and so much more. So I really enjoyed this episode. Comment down below a sunflower if you have made it this far in this video. As I told you, I already warned y'all, this was going to be a long video because there was a lot to dissect. If you it was a lot to dissect in this episode, far as like teachable moments and opportunities to learn from this content. So yes, that concludes the review, as well as the opportunity to learn teachable moments session. And again, like the video, comment down below what you think about this video, and what you liked about this episode, what other things that I missed from the episode that you pointed out, and what that was very interesting and a good teachable moment as well. And don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. And comment down below if you want me to because I'll shout you out and show my gratitude of you not only liking the content but subscribing to the YouTube channel, as well as hitting the notification bell if you haven't done so already, and follow me on all my social media platforms. That'll either be in the link it'll either be in the description box below or on the end screen where you can go follow me at. And until next time, I'll see you guys in the next video, and it will definitely be something to treat. Salute. Bye, you guys.